Let's get started with Module 2. So in this lesson, we're going to be focusing on what it really means to nourish the body so that we're eating to really uplift and deepen the functions of our cells, because at the cellular level, that's where we're going to get the most benefit, not just by focusing on hitting our macros, which are important, but you'll always hit your macros. But when we focus on getting our cellular nutrition right, this is where we're going to see huge payoff in our overall health, alhamdulillah. So clean eating is really one of the best ways to accomplish this. And I want you to understand what cleaning is, why it's beneficial. I want you to be able to learn how to use clean eating to build ultra healthy suhoor and iftar meals. And I want you to start exploring simple strategies to make clean eating easy, enjoyable, and sustainable. I don't want this to be kind of you do it one time, you try it, and then you never go back to doing it anymore, because your body is going to be benefiting from these simple changes that you're making. Right, so what is clean eating? Clean eating is really all about applying the the Quranic guidance of eat of what Allah has provided, which is halal wa tayyib. And it's really so simple, but also so powerful. We're focusing on eating whole, minimally processed foods that are nutrient dense. It's about avoiding refined starches, artificial colors, flavors, preservatives, and about limiting or avoiding moderately and ultra processed ingredients as much as possible, especially avoiding ultra processed ingredients, because our body doesn't recognize it. It doesn't recognize it as food because of all of the manufacturing that's gone into it. All it can do is treat it maybe like a toxin, or try to isolate isolate the body from it so that it can be eliminated. So by choosing halal wa tayyib, this means you're going to be prioritizing local or regional foods that are in season, that are non-GMO, that are ethically farmed. And when you make these choices, you're going to start to notice a huge difference in how you feel, even with your energy level, your mood. It's really incredible what these simple changes can do for us. And it doesn't require that you only eat organic or this kind of thing. Instead, what I want you to be thinking about is what is local and regional and in season for me that has been produced in a way that is as best aligned with the halal wa tayyib principles as much as possible. Now, clean eating is so beneficial because it is going to sustain our energy and focus, especially during our fasting days. So when we have a suhoor that has applied these halal wa tayyib principles, we're going to see a big difference in our energy through the entire day. It'll make a big difference in whether we're feeling really sluggish, if we're having headaches, if we start to get lots of brain fog or irritability. When we're eating clean, it reduces inflammation, it supports digestion, it boosts our immunity. So, especially for those of us that like to have a really active evening social life during Ramadan, you want to be careful about making sure that you're protecting your immune health, because it's common, after a few nights of iftars at the masjid or going to gatherings, we might pick things up. People are sick, coughing, sneezing, this kind of thing. But when we're eating clean, this is a fortification and a defense to our nervous system, but also our immune system, alhamdulillah. It's going to promote hormonal balance and also improve our mood and cognitive health. So right there you see immune benefits, hormonal benefits, and nervous system benefits to clean eating. So here's some fundamental clean eating principles that are going to be what I want you to prioritize as much as possible. Okay, get high quality animal and plant protein. Okay, so it should be pasture raised, hormone free, wild caught, non GMO, ethically farmed, heirloom variety, where you can see these kinds of. So it should be pasture raised, hormone free, wild caught, non GMO, ethically farmed, heirloom variety, where you can see these kinds of descriptors of your foods when you're shopping. Inshallah, this is going to align with that clean eating guidance. If you find that it is easy for you to buy organic and eat organic, alhamdulillah. If you find that you feel a little priced out of your budget to eat and choose organic ingredients, alhamdulillah, it's not a big deal because your body is going to benefit from the foods as much as possible when you are following these halal wa tayyib principles. And in some cases, especially here in the West, organic becomes more of a marketing label than something that is really indicative of pure, natural, high quality foods, unfortunately, right? It's become more of an industry than a guidance on what is best for your body. So, especially if you're in the West and you find that eating organic is just really not practical or affordable, don't worry, alhamdulillah, don't worry, okay? The next idea for your carbs is that it should be complex, high quality, slow digesting, right? So hearty whole grains, especially things like brown rice. Of course, everyone talks about quinoa, right? But other kinds of carbs also. Fonio is one, millet, barley, sorghum, buckwheat, okay? You want whole, skin on root vegetables, your nuts, your seeds, all of these are going to be great sources for high quality, slow carbs. Okay. And for your fats, these should be high quality, raw or expeller pressed fats, meaning that they're just simply crushed, simply ground, right? There's no hexane extraction, there's no high heat, they're not refined in any way because this again is where you're going to be getting those essential fatty acids through the cold, raw, unprocessed form of your fat. Avocado, coconut, grapeseed, olive, these are some of the best ones, inshallah, that are going to give your systems what they need, give your cells what they need. So, how do we put this together to make a nice, healthy, deeply nourishing suhoor? I want you to be putting together meals that combine gentle, high quality protein, whole food carbs, healthy fats, and a hydrating drink. Okay? So that's going to be something like, a simple piece of steamed chicken, some kind of maybe warmed soup with some, meat or some porridge with it. Your healthy fats could be a drizzle of olive oil or a dollop of coconut oil, for example, and a good hydrating drink, something that is going to be full of soluble fiber that helps your cells hold onto that water throughout the day. And it could be full of amino acids so that you're still getting the protein quantity that you really can benefit from. So, something like having chia seeds and goji berries as an infused water would be really excellent for a good hydrating drink. Overnight steel cut oats with hemp seeds and almonds, really high on the protein, really good slow digesting carbs, full of fiber, and full of things like magnesium and other kinds of nutrients that are going to help you have stable energy and provide a more balanced mood support. The nourishing green smoothie or green soup would be also really good options to consider for a really healthy suhoor because it's packed with nutrition and really simple to digest, alhamdulillah. You could have leftovers warmed up, especially if they're healthy leftovers, of course. Try to avoid fried foods, um, high heat fried foods, um, foods that have really simple high sugar content because it's going to spike your blood sugar and already kind of throw off your fasting day, inshallah. And a nutrient dense breakfast platter, this would be something where you're having maybe some dates, maybe some boiled egg, maybe some cut up vegetables, maybe some nuts, some seeds, some dried fruit like sunflower seeds, some almonds, some pistachios, maybe some cranberries, some raisins, something like this, and some fresh fruit. Allahu alam, what is in season and will work best for you for where you are. But of course, we often are familiar with seeing the platters with a little bit of cheese, a little bit of maybe boiled eggs, some tomatoes, some cucumbers, maybe some fresh herbs, all of these things that can be really simple to put together, but that give you a lot of nutritional value would be really ideal for your suhoor. Keep it simple, try not to overeat, and just hit that high quality protein, high quality fat, and high quality slow digesting carbs. Same principles apply for your iftar, right? And the first and most important advice for your iftar is that you follow this hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you eat just enough of what will break that intense hunger. Okay? Eat just enough so that you are reserving just 1/3 for food, 1/3 for your drink, and then 1/3 as air. Okay, because this is going to improve your digestion and you're getting the benefit of applying the sunnah. We don't need to overeat at iftar. Instead, you can have maybe your first iftar meal after you've gotten in your Salatul Maghrib. You have your first light meal, and then after that, you allow it to digest and settle, and you have then your second meal, inshallah. Try not to just eat a huge big meal, and then that makes you too sluggish to get in the rest of the barakah of worshiping through the night, inshallah. Start your iftar with an electrolyte or hydrating drink. Again, something that is full of minerals like the chia goji hydrating drink would be really smart. Have some low glycemic dried fruit like dates. Alhamdulillah, this is our sunnah. And again, your meal should be balanced with high quality protein, whole food carbs, and high quality fat. And inshallah, this will bring you success. Now, there are ways that we can support our clean eating goals with medicinal foods and herbs. Okay, so you can start to consider bringing in nourishing tonic herbs like nettles or moringa. Moringa is another one of these new trendy superfoods. Alhamdulillah, this is just a part of what science newly discovered, but what has been a part of cultural traditions since the beginning of time. Alfalfa is really nourishing, is easy to get here in the West. Oat straw, conch bean, the mucuna pruriens. These are all deeply nourishing foods for us that we can use as teas, use in broth when we're making soups, use as teas to make our smoothies with. These are great ways to use nourishing herbs. Also, including anti inflammatory herbs, things like ginger, turmeric, barberry, marshmallow, black seed. All of these to help reduce the inflammatory fire, improve our digestion, and improve the overall functioning of our systems. Hydrating herbs like marshmallow, chia seeds, cucumber, and so many others, molokhia, okra, All of these are rich with mucilage or soluble fiber that really help hold water, soften the skin, and keep us nicely moisturized inside and out. And good digestive herbs like fennel, jujube, mint, ginger. I could even mention cumin here. All of these are really helpful to having good, smooth, and easy digestion, especially when we're going to lots of different iftars. Maybe we're having gatherings, or maybe we're just making lots of really richly delicious foods, but we want to be careful about acid reflux or GERD or any kind of digestive upset. These digestive herbs will help with that, inshallah. Now, when it comes to Ramadan and planning your meals, make it easy. Make it as easy as possible. Subhanallah. Keep this hadith and this dua in mind. Oh Allah, there's no ease except what you have made easy, and you make the difficult if you wish easy. In another narration, Rasulullah says, Oh Allah, there's no ease other than what you make easy. If you please, you ease sorrow. But some really important and really beneficial tips that have saved me frustration, aggravation, and time in the kitchen is to plan ahead, looking and collecting, reviewing recipes well ahead of time, long before I'm shopping. I already have an idea of what I think I want to cook, what I know my family likes. And then I'm going to make a meal plan that isn't really crazy. I'm not going to make an entire month of a meal plan. For me personally, my personality, I like things to be a little bit flexible. I like to build some flexibility into my week. I don't like feeling completely locked in and tied down to something that I realized a month later is not practical for me. So I keep my meal planning to about 3 to 7 days ahead. When I'm going to the store, I only shop for exactly what I know I'm going to cook. This will save you money, this will cut down on wasting food, and it will make sure that you're following what you set yourself up for. And it will make sure that you're following what you set yourself up for. So don't go through the effort of making a meal plan and then you don't shop and buy according to that meal plan, because then you're not really going to understand how to apply this in the best way to keep your life simple and easier, inshallah. Organize your meal components and set up batch cooking. So when you get in from your shopping over the next couple of days, you're going to, pre-wash, spin, dry, cut up your greens. You can already bring your grains, your rice, your buckwheat, whatever it is, soak it ahead of time, wash it, soak it ahead of time, inshallah, because pre soaking your grains increases the bioavailability of your nutrients. Okay. Same thing with your vegetables. Wash them, scrub them, pre chop them or cut them according to how you're going to need to use them. And then you can just keep them in the fridge or keep them in the freezer as you need. Perfectly wonderful idea to pre-cut or pre-grind your onions, your garlic, your ginger, especially if you regularly cook with these kinds of ingredients. Same thing with your protein. Marinate your foods ahead of time, at least salt them ahead of time, have them cut according to how you might be using them in your recipes, so that when it's actually time to cook with your different recipes, you're basically just assembling. You're not having to do all of the steps from scratch, inshallah. These are some time saving tips. Okay, alhamdulillah. When we talk about clean eating, especially if it's something that's new for you and you want to be balancing all of these different things in the month of Ramadan so that you're focused primarily on ibadah and nothing else, right? Keep it simple, because when it's simple, it's much easier to be consistent. Make a small, short, achievable plan that you can accomplish and stick to it. Keep track of how you're eating and how your body is responding to the foods. So, this is where a food journal becomes really, really beneficial. It is really like a secret to sticking to a clean eating habit because you're able to make concrete connections between the benefits that you're experiencing from these healthy food choices, and you're seeing it and keeping a record of it to remind yourself. Again, shop seasonally, locally, and affordably. Good quality foods are an investment, but often you can take advantage of seasonal sales, weekly sales, and specials so that it's not so much of a hit to your wallet, inshallah. And if this is all new for you, try to stick with foods that are local and familiar to you. There's nothing wrong with trying a different, maybe for you, exotic kinds of ingredients, but keep in mind that anything that is too unfamiliar is going to make it a little bit more challenging to implement, work with, and stick to as you go forward, inshallah. And we will remind ourselves of this wonderful hadith: the most beloved of deeds to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those that are most consistent, even if they're small. So even if you're only able to make one small change from this lesson, inshallah, you stick with that one small change and you gain the barakah, inshallah ta'ala. So as we wrap up, I want you to really just take away from this the importance of tuning in to your food and your meal habits. This is something that I stress so much when I work with people one on one and when I work with people in my programs. Really key into your food choices, and how you're responding to it physically, mentally, and even you'll notice this benefit from a spiritual standpoint. So think about, what changes can you make to how you're currently eating? What new habits are you going to commit to adding in so that you're practicing clean eating? How do you feel on a good, healthy meal day? And compare your energy, mood, and clarity on a good versus bad meal day. And these reflections, these are things that you can simply journal about in your program guide for this lesson, inshallah. All right. So, as we come to the end of this module, I want you to be really thinking about how important cleansing is to being prepared for the fasting day. And I want you to understand the different ways that the body detoxes. I want you to know what clean eating is. I want you to be able to know the foods and herbs that contain different medicinal properties that are helpful for cleansing. And I want you to feel confident that you're able to prepare deeply nourishing meals and remedies for better support during fasting. Inshallah, you can practice all of these during the white days, inshallah, if you fast them. Okay, so alhamdulillah, that is the end of week one and the end of this lesson. You can post any of your questions or reflections in our forum. And again, we will be able to discuss any of those questions live if you join me for the week one live Q&A. Assalamu alaikum.